Hello, hello. I wanted to get this done before it all fades from my memory, and I have no idea outside of this time right now when I might otherwise get a chance. So figured just knock it out. I went to a tournament over the weekend. It was 4 games, Castle Assault, which is sort of a traditional grand tournament, if that means anything. It's a 2-dayer that we've had at least as long as I've been playing Ninth or Fantasy, with a couple of interruptions after COVID. And yeah, we ran a small Ninth Age event over the weekend. There's also an Old World event with, I think, 40 players. We had 11. And there was some War Master and Mordheim going on as well, so it was a big packed hall full of gamers. I brought Warriors, my Dragon list. A bit changed from the previous one because, well, a couple of reasons. One, it's 4,500, so I could fit more stuff in, particularly because at 4,000 points I was already at 880 for my core, so just adding musicians to the core blocks took me to 900, and I had then 480 to play with. So it's pretty similar. I won't go through it in too much detail because I'm not too interested in doing that. I got the Chosen Lord on Dragon still, same build, I think without either icon. This dude on the Sky Wheel is changed, so he's no longer in Tropic Aura because it was just a bit crap having 3-up armor save. Like, I knew it would be, but it wasn't even very much fun, and no one was taking decent characters anyway, so there was no real point having in Tropic. So I dropped that and basically made him a very, very budget wizard. His core is still the same, so he's a Chosen Lord agreed on a size Skywheel. Giving him a decent save meant just chucking Thrice Forged on him. He still had Dragon's Brew because I like it, it's sort of in theme. And then looking at the combination of, gifts, I was like, well, I've already got Idol of Spite on my dragon and I want to keep it there. I basically had a choice between either the +1 ward save, which means I would take Talisman of Shielding on this guy, so then he'd have a 4-up ward save. Or, slightly more interesting, I take Dark Prelate and Crown of the Wizard King, so I have a 2 bound and 1 random spell Magic Phase when I don't normally have a Magic Phase. So it's essentially just something to throw those free magic dice at. And it actually, I think it worked out fine. Like, it's a 90-point investment or something. Little bit of opportunity cost, obviously, because otherwise this guy'd have a 4-up ward save, but it worked out alright. It's maybe not the best thing in the world, but it certainly was usable over the weekend. Threw in another Feldrak Elder and another unit of Chosen, basically. So drop this from 6 Chosen to 5 Chosen, and these 5 Chosen have emerged with paired weapons gluttony and just a banner. I could have, again, to sort of supplement this magic phase, chucked. I didn't have points for a magic banner on these guys that I could really get from anywhere, but I could have replaced the Wasteland Torch with is it Icon of the Infinite? Whatever their bound Hellfire is, or bound Hellfire banner is, which probably would have been better, in fairness. But again, I like the flaming dragony vibe, so wanted to stick with Wasteland Torch. In terms of actual games, my first opponent was Caldy. So he's taken a no magic, no character demons list, 3 minimized leadership Lemure blocks, 3 curved tusk brazen beasts. So they're +1 strength, but wound rolls of 1 automatically wound the brazen beast, I think he was saying. So basically, if he rolls a 1 to wound, he does get his 5-up Aegis save, but he doesn't have to, the hit doesn't go on himself, he doesn't have to roll to hit or to wound against himself, it's just an automatic wound. But they're pretty scary. Claude Fiends with Piercing Strike, and honestly, I've always found Claude Fiends to be pretty bad, so I'm not too worried about them. Eidolons, they'll do chip damage. I was a bit worried about them because I'll sort of explain my thought on the list in total, and I'll explain why I was a bit worried about them. So, the obviously he's got a massive scoring advantage, and we were playing secure target, so 2 pennies, sort of 12 inches in from the board edge. I couldn't really. I was like, look, I'm not going to really be able to win this objective, I think, with the amount of scoring that you've got. I'm also in a bit of a pickle because I can't get charged by those brazen beasts. The Lemures are hard to get through for pretty much anyone other than my dragon. My block, like my infantry, can sort of fight the Lemures, but I think when I did the maths, it was like sort of drawish in terms of likely output. But the problem with that is, for him, if it swings bad and he loses the combat, it doesn't really matter, because his guys will just stay there. For me, if it swings badly and I lose the combat, I'll run away. So I was a little bit basically worried that he can sort of hold those Brazen Beasts back as the counter-charge threat, and I'm sort of getting squeezed out of the board. What I wanted to do... Oh, and then... because it's hard for me to sort of take that engagement to him, the Eidolons can just sort of sit there pinging wounds off my valuable models. Not so much the Feldrax or anything, but more the Skywalk guy or just like the Warriors and Chosen. Like, they're going to pick up wounds if I'm not going into combat to fight things. So if I can't find a way basically to counteract that he's got such a unit advantage over me, they're going to be really, really valuable. Whereas if I get into combat, they're going to start being less relevant anyway. The problem that I found in the matchup is that we're playing Marching Collar. Well, I don't know what the deployment or the map, what the deployment was. It's the one where you have to deploy your most expensive rank and file sort of near the middle, and then half your army either side. Which was really unfortunate, because otherwise I would have sort of just camped in one side of the board and pushed up from there, protecting my flanks, because I am faster than him, apart from the Clawed Fiends, who I don't care about anyway. Like, I do outrange the Brazen Beasts with my Feldrak Elders, and if I charge him, I'm not scared of them, to be honest. But because I had to spread my army, it really made things difficult. So, I'll bring up the game. Oh, okay. Look, first I'll just show you pictures of my army. There's only a few new things actually in here, but I think we highlight them. Only this guy. This guy's a new Chosen. I started to paint some blue because I didn't really want to paint any more red or green, so I just chucked in some blue guys. Mega Dragon, who's got the blue, he's got the green, he's got the red, and he's now suitably enormous. Like, he's much bigger than all of the other guys with him, which I was very, very happy with. Few of these guys are new. I think edges and middle. So this guy, this metal guy that I got from Dan over at Wii War Game, and this is another 3D print guy, basically. And that's my new Feldrak Elder. I wanted to make him a mirror of my red one, so that his axe is on the other side, but I forgot about that when I printed him, and then at that point he's already printed, and I was like, well, it's not that big a deal, they can just be the same. And then I did up a ruin for the Wasteland Torch, because I really didn't like when I was just, flipping a mat over to show black, to show that it wasn't, forest or field or whatever. And we actually had some nice 3D terrain done by one of the guys, Matt, and I think Brendan Kieran as well, for the tournament. So, I didn't want to be messing with that by having a crap looking way of representing the Wasteland Torch, so I just did this one up. And I didn't really like it at first until I added these little bricks, and then that sort of brought it all together, and I was quite happy with it. I know these aren't the best pictures, by the way, but I'm not a photographer, so deal with it. And this is just a little bit of a showcase of old Mega Dragon. Cool. So this is the first game. So, broadly speaking, there's a token here and a token here. And I figured once I burn the field over here, which, by the way, field's giving flammable now, but the Wasteland Torch burning either a forest or a field feels a little bit like, what's the opposite of complementary? Like, it doesn't synergize, it's like anti-synergistic. But anyway, I burnt down that because I figured then he might have to charge and run through a ruin. And I think it's water, impassable. I think that was a ruin here, yeah. Oh, because the other forest was just over here where it was completely irrelevant to the game. So, I had a choice of burning something that might be relevant, throw DTs at him, or burning the forest over here. And I just went, well, I guess I'll chuck the DTs over here, particularly because I didn't actually expect... Like, I figured what was going to happen probably is he'd be charging me as I sort of camp up here. And I figured with the impassable here and the ruins here, it might make it difficult for him to bring many troops to bear over there. And then if I can sort of... I'm not even really looking to win this. I'm just hoping that maybe I can draw the objective. If I can hold him back over here, I've got one unit I've chosen to, provide some sort of scoring resistance. If I can hold him back over here and I can hold on over here, I might score 1 or 2. And inevitably, I think he's going to score some. But that's sort of my hope. I'm like, I want to have enough of a presence on scoring because I think I can draw it if I play well. We exchanged a few drops, and then I think I dropped everything to go first in the end. But we were like, we dropped like 5 things. I can't remember what exactly. I think I sort of dropped an infantry here and then an infantry there, going like, oh, like I don't know which one I'm committing to yet. But then eventually just decided on it. I was hoping that my Skywheel guy with his breath weapon, his sweeping attacks, and even his spell might be able to take down some Eidolons, but the way... Because we also couldn't deploy within 6 inches over here. And I think I ended up dropping him at some point, maybe more before Mark dropped the Eidolons. I just sort of couldn't get him exactly where I wanted, unfortunately. Let's move ahead. So he hasn't done much yet. Maybe... This is probably after just one of my turns. I basically pushed up. My dragon is trying to protect this side of the impassable while also projecting threat inside here. I think I'm outside of his charge ranges here. But my general plan here is probably I'm going to push up. I'm going to get charged and get killed. And hope I've got the counter charges available to then clean him up. Because I've got... Basically, I need one scoring unit alive to sort of contest this while I clean up the stuff that has had to commit to kill to the 2 other ones, is my general thinking. And then otherwise... Yeah, these Feldraks are sort of on objective guarding duty, trying to hold him back, because I am faster than him. So he wants to stay out of my charge range. Like, he can't sit able to charge and force me back. I'm sort of forcing him back if we're playing that cat and mouse game. And then I've just got Chaff and the paired weapon Feldrak Elder over here, sort of helping the dragon to protect the right side of this impassable. This must be my next turn. He actually... So, these Clawed Fiends, they often surprise me in terms of how fast they are. It's just that their output is a bit shit. They moved up to chaff... to stop my dogs from chaffing him, I believe. So they just, like, marched right up into the ruins. And this must be... It's after he charged them. This must be sort of after my whole second turn, and just after he's charged the... So basically, his Clawed Fiends were here. I chaffed him in a way that basically he would have to turn around this way, and I've got a counter charge ready with my Feldrak, but I was sort of still trying to keep an angle seeing over here while keeping an angle seeing them there, but I think if they roll a 10, they get out. I didn't really measure that well enough. I probably could have done it better. This guy's sort of scaring off the Eidolon, still just projecting a threat. And because I can't get... Like, I'd love for my Skywall guy to be flitting around the backfield being annoying, but I can't get him to a good spot like that. So I just sort of brought him back over here to... I think he did his Breath Weapon on the Clawed Fiends. The spell I got was Foresight, which is +2 offensive defense, like from the Wizard hat I'm in, which isn't super relevant to this matchup. And in this game, I was playing Pentagram wrong, because I was thinking it was like the old 2nd edition one where you can aura it if you choose, but it's not. It's now always an aura, either 12-inch or 18 inch. I sort of realized that halfway through the game. At a point when... Because I was using it just as a... I don't know if I maybe cast it once in like the first 3 or 4 turns. I was using it just like, alright, I'm going to hit this unit, I'm going to hit this unit. And then at some point I got into a position where I was like, oh, maybe the aura's good here. Realized, actually, wait, how does it become an aura? Like, there's no boosting anymore. And we basically just said, like, I'll keep playing it the way that I was playing it, which is just pinging 1, given that I've been doing it the whole time. It wasn't this turn that was relevant, I don't think, but I think later on there was a time when that was the case. Yeah, so basically I'm still, like, plan's the same over here. These guys are just protecting. These guys are hoping to push there because you start scoring from end of turn 3. Then... These guys are actually dead in this, but this is a bad picture, man. These guys are actually dead because they got caught. But while we were measuring things, I placed them where they would be, and I forgot to remove them. So these guys were killed by the Clawed Fiends. The Clawed Fiends did escape the arc of this guy. Nothing much else is happening here that's different to what we've already seen. Okay, but a lot of things do happen in between these two. Jeez. Okay, so Brazen Bee, I pushed the Gluttony Shield guys up. I did it quite poorly in the end, to be honest. So I pushed them up, shuffled things around, sort of bringing them down this way, which meant that when the Brazen Beast charged them and killed them, while I would have counter charges, they got an overrun into my Greed guys, which was just a bit stupid, to be honest. What ended up happening... How far ahead? This next picture is heaps far. Okay, so quite a few things happened, basically. The Brazen Beast destroy these guys, overrun into the Greed ones about here, where we're both contesting the objective. These guys, these Chosen over here, are just dying to Eidolons and aren't really ever relevant. My Dragon countercharged the Brazen Beasts, but because of the fact that the Brazen Beast did a lot of damage to these guys, I think I won the combat, but it wasn't enough to get rid of the Brazen Beasts or anything. These Brazen Beasts over here ended up making a charge into my Dragon, who I had turned. He was in the front of the Brazen Beast, I think, and I gave the flank to this leftmost unit of Brazen Beasts so that I could face these guys and they would charge me in the front, which was not what I wanted at all, but I got lucky with the dice, basically, and these Brazen Beasts on their impact hits didn't do much to my Dragon. The Dragon killed at least one guy, maybe even 2, hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, and no save. And I think I popped the idol for that as well, so we'd have had 9 attacks. And then after that, the Brazen Beast didn't have enough output to damage the Dragon. So basically, between the Greed guys, who got really worn down to like maybe only a couple models left, and the Dragon, took out those 2 Brazen Beast units. But at that point, he'd sort of pushed here, and he'd won at least 1 point in the scenario that I then couldn't catch up on. Having them cleared out, I mean, getting a flank charge here. These guys had come in and... I think, yeah, so at the end, this Lemure unit spied the flank of like 5 or 3 remaining greed guys, charged them. The Clawed Fiends, who had sort of shimmied up to about here, also charged them. They overran. This is pretty close to the end of the game. My blue Feldrak just nicked off. My dragon went in with 2 turns or something of combat to these Lemures and actually managed to kill him. Feldrak went into the flank of these ones, but it didn't end up mattering. He didn't have enough output to kill them. And then basically the only thing happening over here, I'd already lost the objective, but I couldn't get my Chosen away. These Brazen Beasts had done something. They must have somehow gotten a charge on my red Feldrak Elder. Can't remember how that happened, but they charged the Feldrak Elder, they killed him. And basically then they turned around. They were facing my Chosen. I couldn't get my Chosen away. So I turned my Chosen to face them. And I made quite a silly error here. Because I went, well, if I fly my Skywheel guy over, he can do some sweeping attacks. I might be able to pop Pentagram to hurt them or something. Probably either that got dispelled or I didn't do it because it would hurt my Chosen as well. And then maybe if I get a bit lucky on the dice, my Chosen can live. Because this was like this was my turn 6, so I only have to survive the charge turn. I think it was really unlikely that my chip damage would do anything. I think it was really unlikely that even with the chip damage, the Chosen would survive. But I sort of greedily tried to take that, thinking, look, these Eidolons can shoot me, but they'll have to move to get around the Brazen Beast's blocking line of sight in order to do it. And then it's like he's hitting on 5s, some hard target. He's wounding on 5s. I've still got a 5-up armor save. Like, I'm probably pretty good. Dice spiked, not extraordinarily, because I think, he had 16 shots. Hitting on 5s is 6 hits. Wounding on 5s is 2 wounds. Maybe a 5-up save, one of them. He did a lot more than that, but like I think he did like 6 wounds or something. But it's not like, I mean, if I'm expecting to take maybe 2 wounds from one shot, it's not outrageous that the guy with 3 wounds ends up dying. So it was really stupid to put him here when I could have just kept him away and saved those 550 points. End of the game, basically, I had lost the primary. It was a 10-10 on points. I had lost the primary objective, but I won my secondary, because my secondary was, I think, to kill either that unit of Brazen Beasts or this unit of Brazen Beasts, and I killed that one, so I got it. And my opponent's was Master of the Veil, which is like a channel model within the center, which doesn't, he couldn't do because he didn't have a wizard. So the end result then was a 12-8 loss. If I go here, yep, 12-8. 154 victory point difference, yeah, so I think just a 10-10. But yeah, got the secondary, he got the primary, so it was a 12-8 loss in the end. My next opponent, right here, perfect, was Infernal Dwarves. Vaguely have an idea what they do, but I haven't actually played against them in 3rd edition. It seemed a bit... I didn't really have much thoughts going into the game. I was like, well, sort of seems like I'm going to run up and I'm going to charge him, and depends how much damage I take coming in, but I expect to beat him in combat everywhere. Was basically my thinking. So... what objective were we playing? Wasn't hold center. Oh, forage and plunder. So we were trying to take this middle ruin. It was a bit stupid on this map, actually, because mark the center terrain piece. So we marked the ruin, and then we each need to pick one that is wholly outside our deployment zone. My choices were the forest back here, which I can burn, or the water over here. Completely in his deployment zone, basically. his choices were the field over here, or the hill here. Completely in my deployment zone. So, it was a bit stupid on this map that realistically it was going to be super difficult for either of us to get, like for me to get that one or him to get this one. So, anyway. Well, actually, I can get this one, he can get that one, but then it's still just like a 1-1. We're basically trying to stop the other person from getting the center and getting the center ourselves. Particularly because he didn't give his flanking unit of Disciples of Lugar here a banner, so they weren't scoring. I pretty much deployed going like, okay, I've got to keep... These guys have Wasteland Torch, so anything I fight is pretty much going to have a 5-up ward save against my attacks in the first round. So I guess they're the best ones to keep back to make sure they score the hill. And then I think I put my Gluttony guys over here just to be... No, Gluttony guys are here. Greed guys over here just to sort of... Because I knew that was going to be my weak flank, so hoping that if he puts anything important over there, I can sort of hold him up for a while. And otherwise, I'm sort of hard pushing monsters down this flank to hopefully control the center and hold him back. Which is basically exactly what I did here. One thing I did do foolishly was, I think on my next turn, when I moved these guys up, I didn't move them through the ruins, so I didn't want to take dangerous terrain. But start of turn 3, I could have plundered that. So if I'd moved them there on my turn 2, I could have taken it when I think I had to keep them back another round or something. Yeah, I think I didn't get that one at all. Maybe I did. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, basically out of his charge ranges, but he's well within mine. Popped the hard target 2 on my dragon, going rocket batteries aren't going to hurt me now. I was wrong. The rocket batteries did 4 wounds to me, and something else did 1 wound, so my dragon took 5 wounds on turn 1, which was not what I wanted. And these vassal bows with their shots put 3 wounds onto my red Feldrak, who's just behind this... Oh, because the house isn't there. The house is standing on... Yes. He's behind this house over here. I don't think that this guy had much that he was planning on doing yet. Really, the Skywall guy. I just sort of kept him as a foil to the bull dude. And then... This is a really bad picture too. This dragon's wing is really in the way of seeing anything. He's not actually in this position. I just couldn't stand him where he was meant to be. Because what has actually happened here is I charged the vassal bows with my Feldrak Elder with a halberd. And then I charged my other Feldrak Elder with a halberd and the Feldrak Elder with paired weapons into an immortal block and my dragon. All in the front. And this is when I learned how damn tough immortals are to crack in 3rd edition. That 4+ to wound thing is huge. I don't mind it, by the way. I think that maybe their output is a little too good given that they're so hard to kill. But I came away from that game being like, it's actually really quite cool what a big problem that infantry unit is. I also suspect... Like, I reckon this ID matchup is quite hard for me, having played it, because those immortals are really hard to get through. The shooting is maybe not optimized. Like, I don't necessarily think this list, but like a cleaner version of this list, potentially. The shooting might not be optimized, the magic damage might not be optimized, but I think it's really hard to get through. It countercharges really well, and it pings wounds off at range. So I think it's difficult for me, but for a good shooting army, I think that it would almost be trivial to deal with. Like, because the immortals then sort of like don't really matter. Their 4+ doesn't matter so much because like, well, I'm only strength 3 or strength 4, but I'm balanced around the fact that I don't wound you very well, so I've got lots of shots, hit you well, that sort of thing. Like I think an ID. Not an ID, Highborn Elf shooting list would probably munch through this ID army without too much trouble in my head. Anyway, basically what happens is eventually I kill those immortals. I had chaffed his 2 other bricks who were close together, the blunderbusses and the other immortals with my dogs. He flank charged with his vassals with spears, but they didn't make the, I think, an 8 overrun to get into my Feldrak who was leftmost there. I then got my warriors and my chosen charging into the vassals and cleaned them up, and then maybe overran into the immortals or something. Do we have another picture? No, I didn't make it. Oh, no, this is them fighting the vassals, yeah. And he's now in an annoying-ish spot. This Feldrak is making hard work of killing the vassal bows. And I've got my dragon over there on 2 wounds, hidden from the rocket battery here by me putting my Feldrak Elder in front. Which does mean that he's not going to be able to charge next turn, but I probably wouldn't anyway because that ruin is liable to at least give away half points if I charge into it. We did only get 4 turns in this game, so there's probably not that much left. Yeah, and this is like towards the end where basically I think I charged his immortals. These guys are just walking away. These guys end up dying to his bull, and the Lugars come and help. And these guys are just sort of there to pick up the objective. My Chosen Lord here probably isn't going to do much to these blunders, but he's not that scared of their attacks. So he's basically just sitting there holding them up more than anything else. And I'm mainly trying to just hold up these immortals so they can't get anywhere else here. We basically just decided, look, what do we think is going to happen when the game ends? And I'm like, well, these Chosen are going to be dead, so let's just count them as dead. These guys will be dead, let's count them as dead. I'm picking up the objective here. The Lugars over here can't do anything with it. We don't really know what's going to happen here. We don't think these immortals are going to die, so we basically just went, look, we'll just count it as that. The things that are obviously dead die. I then was like, look, I think actually something over here happened that would mean that basically it was like, look, you're going to have one shot with your rocket, see if you can kill a guy, and he didn't. I did 2 or 1 rally test for these guys. They must be running, and they never rallied, so he got half points for them. End result then was, I'm pretty sure, again, a 10-10 on points, but I won the objective and he won the secondary. I think. Yeah, difference of 32 victory points. Got to 5, like, yeah, we extrapolated to 5 turns, not 6 turns. I got the primary, he got the secondary, which, yeah, basically it was the inverse of the last game, to get me the 12 points. But on kill points, both games have been 10-10. Then my third game was against Saurians. And this looked very difficult to me. These blocks are really hard for me to get through. And he's got an Alchemy Mage and 2, I can't believe it's not Bolt Throwers, on his Taurosaurs. Generally the sort of game, thinking about it, where I feel like I need a lot of positioning. Like, I need time to position in order to coordinate the amount of attacks I need against the blocks. Because I need to gang up on them, basically. The problem with that is that my list hates alchemy. I hadn't played against it before this game, I don't think, at least with my dragons. Hates alchemy and takes a lot of damage from a good mage like this. And the magnetic great bows are decent, but they're not as scary as the alchemy. So we were playing Hold Center. This is probably after my first turn. We were playing Hold Center, and basically, I think I deployed everything. I must have deployed everything. Yeah. So I deployed everything he countered, basically. I'm hiding my dragon behind this hill from, well, both his Taurosaurs and his Alchemy Mage, but keeping a line of sight, basically, because this is the center point where it's not an amazing view, but, you know, if he tries to push up too hard towards this center, I will be able to see some things eventually. And then my other strategy, basically, is the paired weapon Feldrak Elder is here staring down all this stuff. He doesn't really like the one-on-one matchup with the Cayman Elders, but I've got my Greed Warriors here to maybe help out with that. Otherwise, pushing up, trying to just take space, trying to take as much of the center as I can, because again, Feldrak Elders are very fast. They're outranging him, and the position of this Impassable is great for my Skywheel to go hide behind, because from turn 2 he can then basically be sitting in flanks being really annoying, and while he's vulnerable to Alchemy, and he doesn't like being shot with Magnetic Great Bows either, once he's in the flank, it's like, well, to turn around and do that stops you projecting threat elsewhere. Like if your mage wants to turn to deal with that, I might push my dragon out, or the Taurosaurs stop projecting the threat range of their charges. Okay. Yeah, I think we had to move that for some measurement of things. We're playing pretty cagey. He's pretty happy. He pushed his raptors. I'll go back to this. So the raptors got pushed up. And I basically went, I don't want to be caught up in your nonsense. I don't care about my gluttony block. I'm going to send them up, and I'm going to overrun and try and force you to deal with me. They overran a little bit too far, as we can see here. Whereas if they'd stopped a little bit further back, maybe I would have had some good counters into him. Not to matter. I don't particularly care about these guys, and I absolutely did not want to be blocked up by 8 Raptor Cav in the middle and allow him to push and regain space in the center, so I don't mind the fact that I sacrificed my Gluttony Boys to do it. I also kept my chaff handy, because maybe, I think I end up chaffing Temple Guard or something, but yeah. As you can see, my man here has now gotten into a really annoying spot to deal with. And otherwise, I'm just playing cagey on this left flank still. I don't want my dragon to, I don't want my dragon to die. It's like my main motivation. So even if it might have been better to just go ham and push forward, which I don't think it is, I really didn't want him to die. I think what this game overall sort of really made me realize is that blocks have been improved to a point that when you've got decent range damage in your list as well, it's really hard for single models to have the time needed to position, because they still have a movement advantage, but to have the time needed to get into a position where they can really punish the blocks is what I found. Because I think back in 3rd edition, you probably just send a Feldrak Elder one-on-one into the front of any of these blocks and go like, eh. I mean, the counter charges of the threat. But now I'm like, well, one-on-one, Feldrak might not beat Shield Tego Warriors. He can, but if he's got static of 5, I've got a static of 2 for charge and rank. I need to do 3 more wounds than he does to even draw him, which is probably reliant on Stomp. Whereas I feel like back in previous edition, he's up 3 to start off with, but he doesn't have +1 to wound against me. I guess otherwise it's vaguely the same, but with it. But the +1 to wound basically means that he's more likely to do enough damage that he then wins combat. So yeah, it's just what I noticed was yikes, this is a slow, patient game that I have to play, and I don't know that I have the time for it because my boys are dying. My warriors are quickly being depleted by the alchemy magic, and my dragon is having to quake in his boots. Yeah, so these guys didn't have to go very far to kill the warriors. He did send a Taurosaur in as well. I've chaffed his Tegu Guard. I probably really didn't need to do that. But what I needed, and I fucked this up a little bit because I kept these back guys within 12 of my dragon, mainly thinking I don't want to fail a terror check, which is, I mean, still possible. I got no rerolls or anything, but I positioned quite carefully to make sure that the back of them was within the 12 inches of the dragon. I would have liked to block these guys instead, but then they're taking a terror test on their own leadership, which is probably 5 or something garbage. But I wanted them out of the way of my chosen now, so that if he did push, I wasn't chaffing myself, basically. These warriors have just decided to hide behind the hill. I think they can still just be seen, but next turn they'll be able to actually get behind the hill. Because it's 9 inches from the center from memory, so I'm really just going, they're just trying to score, and I think this is the turn. This is turn 3 when they can start scoring, and the important thing to me is just rack up points on this center objective. I don't remember what ends up happening to those dogs, but I guess we'll see. Whatever. Okay. Yes. So, I actually sent both of my Feldraks at the Tegu Warriors. The thought process there being was I can underhang. So basically, even with the guys positioned now, these guys are in the front. So if I have 2 in the front here, and I'm underhanging and they're in the front, they won't be able to charge me. There might be a change rule that I don't understand, blocked path or something there, but that was what I was thinking. My opponent was under the same impression, so that's what we did. I know there's been discussions of changing that sort of thing where it's like, but I can contact your flank, but I can't charge because I'm in your front. I don't actually know if they changed anything for that in the end. Anyway, that was my thinking. This guy needed, I think, a 4 on Swift. Failed it, so I went in 1-on-1, which I didn't love, because as I just discussed, it's quite a there's quite a possibility that I lose that depending on the stomp. Also, it's the same thing as the Lemures against my infantry in game 1, where I'm like, well, if he loses by a couple, it doesn't matter. If I lose by a couple, it really matters. I could run. I sent my Skywheel into the flank of the Taurosaur. Couple of reasons for that, but one, basically thinking, if I can, like, I had a decision essentially where either I can charge the Taurosaur, and I think I basically kill that. Maybe not in the first turn, but probably over 2 turns, because I can go Great Weapon for Strength 7. If I get the overrun into the Temple Guard, that stops them from casting any magic. So my dragon doesn't have to be scared. Otherwise, I'm like, this is the turn where I need to risk it with my dragon, bring him out, start projecting a real threat. If the Temple Guard charge me, I think I'm fine. I think I win. And then I was like, well, I'll just tie up this Taurosaur anyway, because if the Temple Guard charge me, I'm fine. If the Taurosaur does, I might die. There was something... okay, yeah. I don't kill the Taurosaur this turn. I think I did 5 wounds. Part of it was with my my grinds, hilariously. Strength 4, AP 0, but managed to do 2 wounds. What will happen... We'll see how the next picture is, but what is going to happen is these guys are going to flank charge the Feldrak. These guys are going to charge the red Feldrak, but fail. I think they needed either a 4 or a 5. So both of us were unlucky with not making the charges that we declared. Let's see how the next picture is. Okay, yeah. So basically, these guys charge the blue Feldrak. Together, they don't kill it, but they auto break it, and then the Temple Guard get a overrun flank charge into my dragon. And here was basically a bit of a mistake for my opponent, because he did the overrun. Like he sort of ummed and ahed about who wanted to overrun and who wanted to stay back. And went, well, I'll overrun with the Temple Guard because they're going to hit the dragon. The wind, if like, I don't know, if it was like 6 inches or something. We then, once he'd done it, figured out actually it's pretty close, but it's in the flank. Which, when you don't sort of stop, and this will be relevant in my fourth game as well, when you don't stop and sort of think, does this change anything? You're like, oh, yeah, I'll flank the dragon. That's great. Like going into the front, I was maybe not sure, but now it's the flank. Everything's really good. But being in the flank means that my chosen who are here to counter get all of their attacks rather than maybe only having 2 guys in contact. This Feldrak, who was going to be, I guess, in the flank of the Temple Guard, further away, but I think close enough that probably you would make it anyway, is now in the rear. So I've got basically a flank and a rear, so an extra 2 combat res than I otherwise would have. And the end result here basically is actually after I stopped his +2 armor spell, which was the only defensive combat buff he had in range, I'm just going to mince through him. Because I also got... I had Whispers of the Veil from my Wizard hat. I also got Whispers of the Veil on this block, so my chosen taking halberds can just go hit on 3s, wound on 2s. Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter for everything else because everything else is strength 6. But yeah, I needed basically... I needed this center objective. So I kept these guys. I put them where I could. They weren't able to escape the Cayman's charge range, so I had to chaff with my Feldrak Elder, because the primary objective is much more important than keeping that guy alive. And I figured... one sec. Okay. I figured that even if these Temple Guard don't die, I can probably... I don't care if these guys flank that guy so much, because I should kill them next turn. But I don't want the Stygiosaurs to be able to get a rear and then get a really good angle on their overrun. So I just chucked my Chosen Lord in front of them to stop that from happening. And again, this might be something that there's a reason that you can't do now, but we didn't know it if there is. I basically used the Impassable to go... if you charge me, you'll only get 2 guys in contact. I assume that still works, but I don't know if there's some reason why, in order to maximize, I would move or something. What ends up happening here, though, basically, is I kill his Temple Guard. I think completely. I think I kill every single one of them. Even if I didn't, having a rank in the rear and a rank in the flank is reducing his ranks, which would basically, even if he still had 2 ranks of guys left, be reducing it to the fact to no proper ranks, so he wouldn't even have like the ignore combat res modifiers from Bodyguard. And that means that my Feldrak I can make the Cayman flee from, or not the Cayman, the Anorak flee from my chosen, meaning that the Feldrak Elder can pursue and go into the temple, the Tegu warriors here. There might have even been one Temple Guard left, so maybe the whole thing disappeared. I might not have even had to chase. I definitely didn't chase with my dragon because I didn't want him getting flanked by Tegu warriors and in the front with a steg. And these guys basically all just hung out. So that's the end result there. After something, these guys, I might have even moved them just because the tail was messing with position. It didn't really matter. For this picture, this guy's been moved. He's not actually gone. I was trying to get him. He was over close enough to my dead pile that I was using him to figure out the positioning for the red Feldrack over here, and used him accidentally rather than the blue one. But then we later realized, no, he's meant to be here chaffing. Nothing has killed him, though. Yeah, nothing else has changed situation-wise here. Oh, that's my next game. Okay, and then basically, end result here, I believe my Feldrack eventually kills... Yeah, he definitely does kill these guys. The Cayman Elders kill this Feldrack Elder. The Stygies get basically caught on the anvil of my Chaos Warrior. I had some good saves, pretty much. And I think I used Pentagram to get a wound back. So, yeah, I took the objective. Everything around here lives, and all of these guys live. So do the Stygies over here. Which, for my secondary, for my opponent's secondary, he had keep your two most expensive scoring units alive, which is the Cayman Elders and the Stygies. And I got a secondary that was pick 2 scoring units. Or no, maybe my one was kill the opponent's... No, I had to pick, actually. So yeah, his was keep his 2 most expensive scoring units alive. And mine was kill 2 scoring units. So, for simplicity, I just picked the same ones that were already marked. And I think that was probably silly. I probably should have picked 2 others, just because then sort of either way, either deny him his or get mine, but whatever. I didn't end up killing them, so he won the secondary objective, I won the primary, and I guess that means it was probably like a 12-8 on points. Yeah, difference of almost 600, 12-8 on points. He got the secondary, I got the primary, so it ended up being a 14-6. So at this point, I'm on 34. I'm not really relevant in terms of winning the tournament, but I could maybe podium. Of course, I think in a 4-game tournament with like 10 people on the leaderboard, if you do okay, you're probably in... Like, you could probably be on like 20 points and be potential for the podium. Just because the scores are likely to be so... not too extraordinary. And in my last game, I played Matt with his Empire, who you've probably seen multiple reports from on this channel before, because we play every tournament, it seems. So, objective was breakthrough. His secondary was he needed to be in the center at the end of the game with a scoring unit. Mine was kill his 2 most expensive scoring units. So I must... Yeah, okay, so last game it was... I got killed 2 most expensive scoring units. My opponent got... Basically, his secondary let me choose 2 of his scoring units, and I chose the same ones. Yeah, okay. So that meant I had to kill either the Knight block or the Great Swords. We had, I think, Spearhead, and I won the roll for side, chose to Vanguard in the middle, and pretty much my thinking was, he chose this side as his Vanguard side. Pretty much my thinking was, I'm just chucking my scoring over here, trying to push through to the objective. I don't even really care if they fight. Again, I'm going to chuck my scoring that I don't care about as much over here, in case he decides he's going to deploy everything over here instead. I just have a presence of scoring over there. This guy is just lying down because I couldn't fit him under the wing. My opponent, I know, likes to counter deploy. So even though I deployed my... No, he'd had to deploy his first unit. I think, dropped everything after maybe a couple of drops exchanged. With my basic plan being, look, I'm going to protect my dragon behind this hill, and I'm just going to push up hard. I should probably show you his list. That's a thing that exists. Here we are. So here's an alchemy wizard. Damn it. He's got a knight commander with the Sonestyle, which will be really tough for me because that is really good against all my big things. He's a leadership 10 general, BSB, a prelate who sits with the knight commander. So basically, you got these knightly orders with... I can't hold all of them. With knight commander and prelate, giving them hatred, which is really, really tough for me to crack because the knight commander is so good. They're just a hard unit to do wounds to. Particularly, they're fast, and it's hard for me to gang up on him, basically. They were always going to be really hard. Alchemy is troublesome. Everything else I'm sort of okay with, but again, I have to gang up on things. Like the Imperial Guard with great weapons are scary. If I can get enough into them, they're fine. And the steam tank is just annoying as shit. Yeah, so anyway, basically, I'm going to use this hill to help me out. Which you can see here, except you can't really see the hill because my dragon is too big. He is not being seen by the greatswords. He's not being seen by the knights. He can see around the corner. He can be seen by the shield Imperial Guard here. I don't care if they charge me. I think I butcher them. Otherwise, I'm just sort of pushing up with my monsters. This guy is hoping to try and sort of keep these guys back a little bit. Chosen is sort of doing the same. Like, if you give them a flank, they'll probably take it. And yeah, my scorers are just pushing, wanting to get breakthrough. I did quite a silly thing with my Skywheel, where I went, look, I'm going to send him over here, and he's going to do his breath weapon on these riders. But that opened up being alchemied, and he died in one spell. I don't know what else I'd really want him to do. It was handy. Like, I mean, he rolled a bit crap, and only killed 3 writers. But they failed their panic check, so they were shaken. So it did stop him from chaffing, basically, my monsters. So maybe it was worth it, I guess. But I did lose 550 points on turn 1, which wasn't fantastic. My opponent, by the way, also decided I will charge my Imperial Guard into your dragon. Which is... You can't really see it, I don't think. But they're there. He pushed his greatswords up to basically threaten the dragon. Killed my wizard, as I said. And these guys basically moved up to essentially just be able to see the dragon around that hill, while not pushing up too aggressively. I think that the first fight against these Imperial Guard with shields was maybe a bit close. But the next one won't be, because I send a Feldrak into their flank and a Feldrak into their front. He countercharges with the halberdiers. I also send the Feldrak with paired weapons into his greatswords, because I think there's not too many buffs happening over here that are all that relevant. And because my Chosen were able to move up basically to block, this is Knight Commander on the corner here, to block the bus and specifically and importantly the Knight Commander. I sent Greed Warriors into the Steam Tank, and we'll talk about that later. And then... this is the aftermath, basically, even. Where I've destroyed the... Yeah, I've got my Resolute one there. Destroyed the Imperial Guard, pivoted him a little bit. One of my Feldraks has basically turned so that the one that got flanked by the countercharge, if he loses and runs, the other one isn't getting charged in the flank as well. Which was maybe a bit conservative, but whatever. I'll talk about the steam tank later. I send a few things at him. I send the Chosen at him as well. This Feldrack, I'm sort of like, if you just hold on for long enough, I can come in and support. What ends up happening, those guys get in somehow. I guess there's probably going to be another picture at some point. Nope. Okay. These guys moved up to basically to block up a little bit and protect the wizard who sort of swung over here. These knights killed the Chosen, as you would think. Basically what I did was I realized, hey, if I send my dragon into these great swords and finish them, which I probably will, Matt got a little bit unlucky on his dice, I think. Or I'd gotten lucky on my I think it was just on his wounding dice. So my Feldrack was still alright and doing plenty of damage to these knights. It's like if I send my dragon in, I'm probably going to wipe those guys out. I can overrun into these halberdiers who are sort of sitting in this little spot here. If I also charge my dogs into the flank of those halberdiers, that means that I'll get to fight again with my dragon. And that might mean that I can make them run that way, and I can get my dragon far enough away. These guys, I think, were facing this way. What actually happened? So, I mean, all that did happen, but what I realized sort of after I'd positioned the dragon was that actually I need like an 8. If I send them the other way, I need like an 8 for my dragon to get into these knights. Which is not a matchup that I want, particularly because I've already used my Idol of Spite. Because I needed the AP earlier. It's not a matchup that I want, but I was sitting there going, well, it's charge or be charged, and I'd rather charge. But this was a reasonably significant mistake. And essentially the reason is this. He had 7 halberdiers or something left after the combat. And he fled. I made him flee from my my dogs. The only place where they basically can end up, and I mean, they didn't roll like a 12. I think they rolled 7 or something. The only place where they can actually end up is chaffing his own night block. So, because this is essentially the same perpendicular, same plane. Is that the right word? I don't know. Basically, the dragon would be directly backwards by the 4 inches or something that I rolled with him. He rolled quite low, so he'd be about 4 inches back, and the halberdiers would just be sitting in front. And then these knights couldn't charge anything, and then I'd basically be able to do whatever the hell I want. Particularly because I could move the dragon away with a flying movement over to like here, and then just chaff his knights if I needed to. I think that sort of situation, when I was playing lots of games in 2nd edition, I think I'd be on that. I'd be aware. I'd be thinking about it, and I would have figured it out. In this situation, I didn't think about it. So basically, I tried for the overrun. Or the pursue. What I think would have been really helpful here, and like, I mean, it's sort of like in chess where like your opponent makes a move, you always want to look at what your opponent's attacking. Even if you're like, oh, I've got something really good happening over here, they might be threatening checkmate. So you always want to check basically what them, at each step, when the board state changes, you do actually want to reevaluate to see if anything is different. So what I should have done is basically, because, when technically in 3rd edition, you move the pursuers, the distance they rolled, before you decide anything. But you don't actually, like, basically we're like, alright, you rolled 7, do I want to catch you? Like, yeah, I can catch a 7, I'll throw for it. What I should think about doing is basically go, okay, like, I actually want you to move them. Let's see where they end up, and then I'm going to decide if I want to charge or not. Which is going to be obvious in some situations, or if I want to pursue or not. Which is going to be obvious in some situations, because then you'll sort of be comparing, like, how valuable is it to catch them, how likely am I to get flanked or whatever. But it never entered my mind as a possibility that actually he's going to block himself. So I didn't come up with that idea. If I had stopped and gone like, okay, like let's see where those guys end up, then it would have been obvious because they would be there. They'd be in the position, and I'd then be able to go, oh wait, shit, if you're there, everything's good for me. So that was something that, while I think is a pretty reasonable mistake, particularly for someone who's not playing very frequently, it was really significant, and a better player there would have solved the whole problem of the night brick that my dragon can't fight is going to fight my dragon. The problem was actually solved because I had played reasonably well earlier to sort of connect a few things, exploit congested position of infantry. I played well enough to get there, and a better player would have then been like, hey, I've seen another way that I'm going to show my skill. Unfortunately, I don't make it. I get charged. I mean, whatever. Charge or be charged. I do have, at the moment, 3 resolutes. So I'm 4 ranks on my dragon. I got more ranks than him. And I'm just basically thinking, like, you come in, fuck, I hope I live. I hope I can stick. Because then I can come in with, like, Feldrak Elder in the flank. This guy can't help because the position of the dragon, basically, he'll charge me and not be on the hill. But once I get a Feldrak Elder into the flank of these guys, if my dragon's on, like, 2 wounds, maybe I kill him. Unfortunately, he comes in, he kills my dragon reasonably easily. Like, I had 6 wounds left. I don't know, the Sonosol guy's gonna do 3 or 4, I don't know what he did. But the unit did some as well. Yeah, and, like, basically, I might have taken 8 or 9 wounds. Like, it wasn't even close to being... I don't think I did many to him either. I might have tried... My lord definitely tried to kill his Sonostal character because it's essentially the same in terms of likelihood to kill him, to do wounds to him as to do wounds to a knight. I think I only did 3 wounds, which is a little bit bad on 8 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. But then he saved them all anyway, so... if I'd killed the Sonostal guy, which would have been lucky to do, because he's got a 1-up save and I'm a AP2, like, it would have been really lucky. If I'd killed him, I'd win the combat, because he's not going to do enough wounds to me, but... that's sort of what I was trying. I was like, look, if I can kill this guy, life's good. I didn't do much at all, I think, because then... Yeah, his unit would have struck before my dragon anyway, so I think he died without taking any wounds at all. I don't know what the next pick will be. Okay, then I just shuffled around. I'm losing bodies like a motherfucker to this steam tank over here. I shuffled around a little bit, basically trying to... This is the second turn of doing this, where he moved his guys back because I had Feldrak staring down his flanks. I then was like, okay, I can now move this other paired weapon Feldrak Elder to clean up over here. In terms of the objective, breakthrough, we're not getting many scoring units in opponents' deployment zones. But I've killed 2 units of Imperial Guard, 1 unit of Halberdiers in combat. I've lost a unit of Warriors. This unit of Chosen's about to die, and I lost a unit of Chosen to him, so we're even on scoring units destroyed in combat. I do make a mistake over here. Basically, he's got his handgunners who turn around to shoot at my Feldraks. He's got 2 wounds left, and he's like, if I do 1 wound, I get half points. I then charge him with my Warriors, which I shouldn't have done, because he was able to flee, and a failed charge move wouldn't take me into his deployment zone. And I thought about that. I thought about the fact that, like, I didn't measure it, but I was like, I think if he flees, I won't make it in here. But I charged anyway, because I just went, like, I want to kill things. It was really quite silly, I think, basically. So I end up getting the points for these 2 units, but they ran off the board, so I don't get scoring points. we'll come back here, and then we'll talk about the steam tank over here. Basically, I get to a point. This point, in fact, this is when these guys have shot at my Feldrack, not done a wound, I don't think, and I'm like, oh, I'll charge them rather than just moving. I should have just marched those guys, because then I would have been 1 point up for the objective, basically. And this is sort of the decision over here, which is not a very difficult decision for most people to play the game. I have 2 halberd Feldrack Elders looking at his night block. And I want to kill it. It's killed my dragon. I want to kill this block. However, we're currently probably pretty even in terms of points. I can easily just move out of the way. I think these dogs could even have chaffed him up. So that he can't get into my my deployment zone to count for scoring. So I could easily have gotten these guys away. But I want to kill them. So I thought to myself, look, it's more interesting if I charge in, and I really want to avenge my dragon. The problem with this, and I knew this going in. Like, this is a bad decision that I'm fine with making because I wanted to avenge my dragon. It's not about winning the game, it's about avenging the dragon, and I'm taking a shot at that. I'm fine with this decision, even though it is a silly decision to make. Because, like, this is 1,000 points that if they die, like, it's 1,000 more points my opponent gets, that I could have easily denied him. It's also the only way that he has a chance to get in my deployment zone. Is if I charge him and break. And let him run after me. So I charge him. This guy's unhurt. He takes up most of the frontage, including the Sunnystyle guy. This guy just corner clips here. I think he takes a wound. I think this guy takes like 4 wounds. I did maybe a wound or 2 to him. Like, I absolutely whiffed hard. Well, maybe not that. Because 12 attacks, 6 hits because of the guy behind boosting them, 5 wounds. And he has a 5-up save against it. No. However many I did, I think it was less than I should, but not outrageously so. Like, I can get if I hit well, I can get lucky here and do pretty well, but it's definitely a combat that I'm expecting to lose. But for the pride of it, I needed to go in. I end up losing combat by 5. These guys leadership 9. They've got battle fever now, so I get to reroll my break tests. I have leadership 4 rerollable on both of them. I don't make any of them, and I'm not even close. I'm like, I don't think I roll under an 8 the entire time. But it means that he gets to pursue me. One of these guys must have died. No, they didn't, because, No, yeah, so he gets to pursue me, which shoots him forward however much. He caught one of the boys. And the other one then gets charged by... No, yes. Okay, yeah. So then, sorry. He's like mid board, or if not a little bit further back. And he gets catapulted forward by his pursue, and then on his turn 6, he charges my... He couldn't, because I think my blue Feldrack was still in front of him. He couldn't get around to just march into my deployment zone. So he had to charge me. If I had rolled a 10 on my flea, I would have been off the board and he would have failed his charge. But I didn't, which meant that he managed to get in, like on his charge, managed to get in to my deployment zone. So basically, charging these guys in lost me the primary that I otherwise would have drawn, but easily could have won if I hadn't charged his halberdiers on the other side. And lost me 1,000 points. Which is a bad trade. Bad trade, I'll say. Now, this is my last picture, surely. Yep. Let's talk about El Steam Tank. I don't think that I dealt with it very well. I sent a... It's toughness 8 now, which I always just struggle to really know what to do with that, because it's a very specialized tool that you need. So I sent my warriors in being like, great weapons. And Great Weapons are still winning on 6s. It doesn't feel like they should, but Great Weapons are still winning on 6s. At least the AP3, maybe. But basically, between them, my Greed Warriors, my Greed Chosen fighting it, I got it down to 1 wound, but it killed me. So it got 2 points for the objective, and the reason why basically he won objective is because of the units that the Steam Tank killed. I don't know if maybe I should have sent my Feldrak Elder over there. But even Strength 7 is like, well, am I really going to do that much damage? And I just don't know. Like, the only thing this tournament that sort of made me be like, I'm unhappy with the decision, like the unit design there, like, and I think it's a really bad choice, is that Steam Tank. Giving a unit with a cannon, toughness 8, and a 3-up armor save seems absolutely batshit to me. When it was toughness 6, it was still like, because toughness 6 1-up armor save requires tools that commonly exist, which is basically strength 6, maybe strength 7, but most people are like, if you don't have strength 6, you know that your list is lacking something. Strength 6 AP3. That can deal with a Steam Tank. Having it have 8 wounds, toughness 8, like what? How many units are out there that's actually able to hurt that Steam Tank? Like, reliably. I don't like that, and I wouldn't mind it. I'd be like, that's a really tough nut to crack. It's like a Sphinx or whatever. Although I think a Sphinx crumbles worse than a Steam Tank does these days. I could be wrong on that, but Steam Tank crumble is pretty generous. But then you just give it a cannon. So the Empire player doesn't even have to use it with any kind of thought. Because it's got, like, the best War Machine weapon. And I just, like, I thought about that later and I went, I don't like how that... It's way more dissatisfying to play against than the old one used to be, I think. And I think it's way harder to deal with. But yeah, it's... I don't know what I'm meant to do. Like, this matchup maybe is just a matchup where the Steam Tank is particularly good, which, like, I'm happy to accept or whatever. But I just can't think really of a time when my option against the Steam Tank is much other than, well, I guess I just feed it units and hope that eventually it dies. And in this case, it just feels to me like me sending basically 2 units with great weapons, getting the charge, 1 in the flank, onto it. That's the sort of thing that should deal with a Steam Tank in my head. I don't feel like there's... I mean, evidently there's wrong play there because it didn't work. But I don't know what else there is that can be done. Your higher strength things are often like things like a character on a monster or a Feldrak Elder with a halberd. But how many turns is it going to get to shoot you before you get that into combat with it if you're sort of sending it in the same area of the board? It's not like it's that expensive. It's 420 points. I just don't know. I don't know what's meant to be good against a Steam Tank. Like, it being so hard to kill, but having a cannon, is just an unthinkable combination in my head. I don't know. I had to feed it units in this game, I felt, to protect my big things. I had to send things in to tie it up. I recognize that there's a decent chance that I don't kill it. Like, over the course of all this, I don't kill it. But I've got to do something with it. I can't not engage it. The design of it really stinks to me. And it's probably the only thing all tournament that I went that is busted, in my opinion. And I don't even mean necessarily busted like, oh, it's overpowered and Empire are too strong or anything, but I'm just like that design just seems fucking dumb. Yeah, I mean, that was my takeaway. I don't like the steam tank. I know lots of people didn't like the old one. I didn't mind the old one so much. Because, there might be some math stuff going wrong in my head here. Where I think that Res 6 1-up armor... You know what? Let's have a think. Okay. So, this is just with one attack. The old one, every strength 6 AP3 attack, or that hits, does quarter of a wound. Obviously, 0.4 for strength 7. The new one, you're getting 0.3 if you've got strength 7. Strength 7 is pretty hard to come by on anything that isn't terrified of the cannon, but whatever. And strength 6 AP3 is pretty dog shit against the new one. So basically, if you're strength 6 and you got 10 attacks, you're like, well, maybe I should do a wound and a half a turn. Certainly more resilient to high strength than it used to be, which makes sense, I guess. That's just functionality with Res 8. If you brought a unit that had static 5, so they've got the plus 1 to wound from Presser ranks. With 10 attacks, you're expecting to do 1 2/3. With your static, you're expecting to do almost 7. So let's say you win combat by 3. Let's say you win combat by 3. It halves it to 2. It reduces by 1. So it would essentially take 2.5, 2 or 3 wounds, basically, every combat. And that's assuming that you're Res 4, because otherwise it's going to do 5 wounds and it's going to crumble not at all. 2, because if you win by 2, you would... Yeah, halve to 1. Yeah, so if you're Res 3, good luck. And this is just averages, obviously. So dice, anything can happen. So it's obviously better to try and mob it with a really deep unit. You need like 35 guys or something to actually kill a steam tank, retaining your plus 1 to wound. Your plus 1 to wound is maybe not super relevant. It's pretty relevant. Particularly with the way that it reduces crumble. I think this is just a batshit design to have on a cannon. I think this is a really bad design. I'm standing by my opinion. I think this is dumb. Anyway, overall, let's go to a picture I like better than this. Let's go to the Folly of Young Seward. This one. Okay. Overall, the only other standout thing for me with the tournament is I don't think I like the charge changes. Every charge seems too likely to happen. And this is, you could come at me with maths basically saying you're stupid because X, Y, Z, and you might be right. But like we figured out in my first game, when I think to charge my red Feldrak, the Brazen Beast needed a 5. Swift Stride 5. Swift Stride 5 is better than 50%. We figured that out. It's like, it doesn't feel like it should be, but that's an inch less than your maximum. And when you got Swift Stride, it's 50-50. Swift Stride on a 6 is 30%. I really felt playing the game this weekend that you didn't have much room to maneuver combat elements tactically. Your main thing is I've got to keep out of charge range, because any likelihood of getting charged is still like the biggest, the most significant part of winning a combat is basically getting a charge. Obviously, there's unit matchups to think about, but like if you can charge, you can get a magic buff off or whatever. You've chosen to charge, obviously, so you're liking the matchup there. It's massive. You basically never want to be charged. Except that, obviously, there are situations where you've got, okay, this unit I'm going to push up, I'm happy they're going to get charged, like, even excluding chaff. But, like, in general, you're like, in anything close, you're not wanting to get charged, because you're like, well, that's just going to lose things for me. And I just really feel like the old 2d6 allowed for more maneuvering within charge range, where you're like, oh, maybe I'll give you an 11. I mean, what was an 11? I think an 11 might have been like 18% or something on Swift Stride. Like, I just feel like there was more to play with the larger charge ranges. The random charge, like fail charge move as well. And I know that people like to be able to predict everything and go, I know exactly where my units are going to be, so I can plan everything perfectly. I think that's kind of boring. And I prefer a bit more chaos in my table. But chaos is something that I benefit from, so like this is absolutely me going like, a chaotic table is better, it's better for me. So there's inherent bias there. I like it, but I like it because I deal with it well. I didn't like... with dwarves, it doesn't come up because I can't make... I don't expect to make any charges. I can't keep out of charge range because I'm an all-combat, or pretty much all-combat dwarf army. So there's no point me just sitting back at a distance that I can't charge you and you can't charge me. So I've essentially, with my dwarf list, removed the charge phase from the game. Or not from the... But in terms of, like... I can't care what happens to the charge. I need to mitigate the fact that I'm going to get charged, which is how, when heaps of units and the layering and the counter charges all factor in. But this tournament, I really, really felt like, well, like, if I'm trying to do well, I basically can't leave anything in charge range of anything. There's no risk reward there, usually. It just... I didn't feel like there was room to maneuver around charge ranges. And I really feel like the game favors not just blocks, but blocks with a healthy ranged output, not in the blocks, like an army that is made up of blocks and healthy ranged output. I reckon that High Elves absolutely will crush this edition once they get completely figured out. Like, once people start to get on the know, I think High Elves are going to absolutely destroy this edition. It's the perfect game for them. They'll get expensive, I guess, and balance will factor in, but they are designed for this game, I think. I'd really like just a flat reversion to the old charge rules, to be honest. Even like I know that there are changes to like the gamey things in terms of like you can't sort of just sit, like I couldn't just sit a Feldrak Elder on a corner here and be like, when you charge you can only get 3 in contact. I know there's changes to that sort of thing, which is probably pretty fair. And the movement in general I think is probably better. There's also nuances that I'm sure I'm not aware of, and there's probably situations with charges and movement that came up on the weekend that were probably done incorrectly by either me or my opponent. I wouldn't really know a lot of the time. I think the movement phase in general I think is better, but I don't like the way charges work, and part of that might be me being dumb at maths, but it felt bad when I was playing it on the weekend. Anyway, those are my games. Where do we go? How do we go? So overall, this one... I didn't even tell you the result of this one. Anyway, I lost 15-5. If I had not made the mistake... I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't lost the dragon. Because if I'd seen that he would chaff himself, I think I would have actually gotten a massive win. But not having seen that, if I don't make this charge, if I don't charge his handgunners and I just move up there instead to get the objective. I think pretty easily. I think we did the maths, and this is we did the maths, and we know that if I didn't make this decision, and I just stopped him, and we drew objective, it was an 11-9 to me. So I think because I could have also won the objective, I haven't made the mistake up there. Like I could have gotten a 14-6 with better play, but I made those mistakes, so became a 15-5 loss, which led to down 1,000 points, lost. Because I did get my secondary, that's why. So because he got primary, I got secondary, and that meant that I finished 6th, I think. That's after round 1. After round 4. Yeah, I finished 6th, so just bottom half. I did have fun, though. I did still find the game fun. I realized I've just complained for about 20 minutes. Overall, I still found everything fun. It was still a good event. And I really like my dragon models, and I like playing with them on the table. This has probably gone long enough, so I'll just cut it off here. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time, I guess.